I'll tell you what. So this will be my third, and we're in great shape. Do you see what's going on with the Republican Party? How unified the Republican Party is? Right? No, we're unified. It's a beautiful thing to say. Thank you, Mitt. Thank you. Appreciate it. Even Mitt's on board. Even Mitt's on board. No, it's a good thing to see. Having a unified party. Of course, when they did the impeachment hoax, we had 197 to nothing in the House and 52 and a half to a half. That was Mitt. But that's okay. I'm no longer angry at Mitt because he's being very nice on the Supreme Court. He's doing the right thing. I just want him to do the right thing. But they want to pack the court. You know what that means? They want to put on a lot of justices. These are things that are just horrible. I guess we could do that too, right? We could do that too. But remember, it was Harry Reid that made this all possible. You know, they're angry at us. Listen, Chuck, Crying Chuck. You know what Crying Chuck is? Chuck. Every time you complain, remember, it was Harry Reid, your person in charge. He had your job before. It was Harry Reid who made this all possible. Thank you very much, Harry. I hope you're enjoying your evening. No, they blame us. Harry Reid gave us the power. Nuclear option. Thank you, Harry, very much. But he wants to pack the court, Supreme Court, with radicals who will terminate the Second Amendment, confiscate your firearms, eliminate the right to self-defense, strike under God from the Pledge of Allegiance and all other places. Tear down crosses from public spaces and force taxpayers to fund extreme late-term abortion. These far-left justices would release violent criminals, shield foreign terrorists, impose sanctuary cities, and declare the death penalty totally unconstitutional. Hey, it will be totally unconstitutional. They want to declare it unconstitutional for even the most depraved mass murderers. And it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. They came to my office today in the death penalty for clemency. I said, what was the crime? The crime was so horrible that I won't tell you what it was, but it's been going on for 21 years or so. The crime was so horrible that this person committed that I said, look, I just can't talk about it. It was so horrible, and that's usually the case, like the Boston bomber. And by the way, they want to give votes to prisoners, people in prison. They want to give votes. So we immediately said, remember Bernie, crazy Bernie. Bernie is, I'll tell you one thing about him. He's the greatest loser I've ever seen. No, it's true. No, I mean that in a respectful way. Because what they did to him with Hillary was bad, but this time was even worse. Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren would have left the campaign one day before Super Tuesday. Bernie, with her ideology, basically, because she's a radical left, and she was really fresh to him, but she was really fresh. How bad was Elizabeth Warren to Joe Biden? There's only one person that was worse. Who was worse? Kamala. I said, he'll never, this shows you my great instinct, my great knowledge of politics. I said, he will never pick Kamala because no human being has been treated worse than anybody than Kamala. Remember, she called him a racist. She called him xenophobic. She called him all sorts of things. She called him things that were so bad I can't say them. I can't say them. But she called him a lot of things. I said, well, she's out. And then he picks her. She picks her. And you always pick people going up, not going down in the polls. You know, if I were going to pick, and by the way, how good is Mike Pence? Is he great? Okay, he's a rock. He's a solid guy, and he's a great guy, and a great vice president, and he works so hard. He's all over the place. He's in Michigan. He's everywhere. Where'd you go today, Mike? I went to Michigan, North Carolina, South Carolina. I went to Wisconsin. And the guy, I tell you what, he's an incredible guy, and he's a great guy, and he loves the people of this country. He loves our country. You cannot do better than Mike Pence. You know that. If you want to save America, you must get out and vote. In just 3.5 years, we've secured our borders, rebuilt the awesome power of the U.S. military, obliterated ISIS caliphate 100%, fixed our disastrous trade deals, and they were a disaster. I read some of them. I said, who agrees to this stuff? Stupid people agree to it. And brought jobs back home to America, and we brought them back. You had the greatest year you've ever had last year. The greatest year you've ever had. Under 16 years of presidents, Obama and Bush, household income rose only $2,945. Okay, that's over a course of 16 years, close to $3,000, right? In 3 years, and including energy, because look at the saving. How are you doing at the gas pump? Not so bad, right? Did you ever see that? You ever think that was going to happen? In 3 years, so that was less than 3,000 over 16. In 3 years, you went up $10,000, including energy. We lifted 6.6 million people out of poverty, the largest poverty reduction in the first 3 years of any president in the history of our country. We built the greatest economy in the history of the world, not only here, anywhere. We were beating everybody. You know, for years I heard that China in 2019 was going to overtake us, right? That didn't happen. Then they released the plague, but that didn't happen. And it still is not happening with the plague because they got hit hard themselves. I wonder if they understood that they were going to get hit too, right? But the plague came here. They could have stopped it. They could have stopped it from going all over the world, 188 countries all over the world, including Europe and the United States. We've added a record 10.6 million jobs in the last 4 months, including 3.3 million jobs for Hispanic Americans. That's a record. Both numbers are a record. When the plague arrived from China, we launched the largest national mobilization since World War II. We pioneered life-saving therapies, reducing the fatality rate 85% since April. You see what's happening? Europe has almost a 50% greater excess mortality rate than the United States, and now you see they're being hit very hard. The fake news was saying, well, I don't know if you've done as well as Europe. I said, we did better than Europe, and now Europe is exploding again. Unfortunately, I don't want that to happen, but they don't want to talk about that because that's not good for their narrative. Our early and aggressive action saved many millions of lives. Through Operation Warp Speed,